Hey guys, welcome back to the BuzWeaver channel, and today we have some rather somber news. The conservative voice on the right, Rush Limbaugh, conservative talk radio pioneer, dead at 70. Limbaugh's death following stage 4 lung cancer diagnosis announced by family. I want to just mention right here, right now, if you, someone you know, a family member has cancer, I totally understand your situation and can relate. I wish you and your family all the best with your condition, and hopefully you can succeed and overcome it. I have had family members who have passed away from cancer. As you know, I had family in over the weekend. I didn't go into a lot of detail, but since this topic has come up, my aunt had passed away a week and a half ago from cancer as well. So I can totally relate to anyone who's going through this process and dealing with this condition. Rush Limbaugh, I just really can't formulate the words. I'm going to just kind of flip screens here so you don't get stuck on one, but I can't quite put into context the significance of this particular individual. It's not very common that I talk about particular people or influences in my particular life. Because I'm just kind of one of those type A personalities that's always kind of self-driven, self-determined, and so I just read what other people say, people that are knowledgeable, people that are more experienced than I am. I try to listen to what they have to say, and I adapt that information to my life and to my experiences. And Rush Limbaugh was a true voice of conservatism. I am a conservative. I am not a Republican. I am not a registered Republican. I left the party in 2004. I am a constitutional founding father conservative. I believe in freedom and I believe in liberty. That means that I want to be able to do what I want to be able to do with my liberty, and I want everyone else to be able to do and enjoy our liberties and freedoms in our country. And this is why I don't look at skin color. This is why I don't look at ethnicity. If you're a citizen of this country, I see you as an American. And Rush Limbaugh was a true American conservative who talked about a lot of conservative issues. There were aspects to Limbaugh that I didn't entirely agree with. However, I can relate a lot to his ideology and his philosophy. I think he was extraordinarily articulate. He was a very gifted individual. He irritated many of his political opponents, but they respected him for the most part, at least those in the business. Those in the business of radio, those in the business of media. Now, it's important to note here that Rush never really claimed to be a journalist or a reporter, as it were. He was a voice espousing his opinions, just like I do here on the Friday Vlogs, and as I'm doing right now. And I would have to say that Rush Limbaugh was that pioneer that allowed me to do what I'm doing right now, and that is to express my political views, share my political views as appropriately and as politely or courteously as I can. Of course, I have my own biases, or I have a bias leaning towards a conservative, so of course my material is going to be very conservative. However, I am willing to listen to anyone who wants to present a cogent, tangible, reasonable, constructive conversation, or bring that level of material to a conversation. So even if I don't agree with you, I'm willing to at least listen, and Rush was willing at many times to listen, although of course, as he called them, many seminar callers would call up just to kind of promote themselves, as it were, very much like Jim Acosta did when he was the press secretary, you know, being able to inject himself into things just to kind of build his brand. And that's kind of what we do now. I think we're in that age now where it's all about branding, right? We're a very approval-seeking type society, and as creators and as people, as celebrities, entertainers, everyone's vying for that spot. Everyone's vying for that, you know, spotlight. I can't think of anyone who would even remotely come close to being able to, and I don't like to phrase it this way, but I'm going to replace Rush Limbaugh. I mean, he was the pioneer. He started in 1988 on his radio show, and I can remember that. I was already out of high school for 2 years. I was in college, And I would listen to Rush in the afternoons. And then when I worked, and when I, at one of my jobs that I had while I was in college, the guys there were much older than I were. They were all, many of them were all military, and they were all very much tuned into AM radio. And that's kind of really when I became more introduced to Rush Limbaugh. And it was then that I decided that I would pursue politics and experiment in that discipline, if you want to call it that, I suppose. But Rush Limbaugh's, whose popularity as a right-wing radio host, I think that's a little over the top, with that type of description from People magazine. But I mean, everyone's going to take their little jabs today at Rush. But he was a very influential figure for me, and I think he played a huge role in conservatism today, which a lot of people seem to be moving away from, which is why I left the party, or the Republican Party. There was no longer really like genuine conservatives within the Republican Party. They're very much like the left, establishment. And you've heard me say that often, and I don't mean it in any type of in the framing of some conspiracy, right? That is that to describe these individuals, it would be like a club, a government club of people who aren't really looking out necessarily for our interests, but the interest of those who support them, specifically special interests, lobbies, that sort of thing. So that's why I left the Republican Party. It is very difficult for me to really put into words to describe Rush. We have some words here from Nut and Fancy. We have lost our one-of-a-kind gift from God, Rush Limbaugh, this week. He was a true defender of truth, the Constitution, America, and plain goodness. Like no other, he understood and explained the evil left. That's okay. So that's Nut and Fancy's phrasing there. He made talk radio a beacon for freedom. So please fly our flags at half-mast today. Nut and Fancy is a former colonel in the United States Air Force, Jack Posobiec, a former Navy intelligence officer in the United States Navy. If you are celebrating the death of a 70-year-old man with cancer just because you didn't like his show, you might just be a hate cult, or in a hate cult. And so, and you can see my Twitter feed, of course, just kind of all Rush related to an extent. I've not seen any major negative media so far on Rush. I don't think they'll do it quite as much today. Maybe later in the week. But I did want to take a moment to recognize him. I know I didn't have a lot prepared for this, and I mean, you guys obviously, wouldn't need me to read all of the news headlines for you and whatnot. I mean, clearly, Medal of Freedom Award winner, awesome with his wife. His wife, incidentally, is actually a descendant of Thomas Jefferson, which is kind of interesting. So, very great moment for Rush when he got the Medal of Freedom. And, working from home, being able to be here at home to do my work as a creator afforded me the opportunity to listen to Rush during the daytime. And if I'm out driving or doing things during the day, I always have the radio on listening to Rush. He just, it's challenging as a creator to be able to come up with content, to be able to come up with information and to entertain and to captivate an audience. Like right now, I think I'm struggling a little to be able to bring something to it, some substance to you guys. So I'm sure you guys can understand. But so the impact overall was pretty profound, I guess. I read his book and listened to him on the radio quite often. So he became just kind of part of the day-to-day kind of routine for me, and in my everyday kind of activity. He did smoke, so he always used to reference the fact that he would hold a piece of paper or something in his formerly nicotine-stained fingers. And what I'll do is I'll leave these links for you guys if you want to stop by and just kind of read a little bit about him. But I did want to take a moment to recognize him because he was the one who really kind of introduced me to politics. Don't know whether or not it was a wise enough choice for me to pursue. But today, with the, of course, with the internet, we are now able to reach an audience and have an audience and be able to share, Limbaugh's conservatism, my conservatism, or conservatism in general, just the respect for our country, the respect for our Constitution, our liberties, our freedoms, which I want everyone to enjoy. I want everyone to enjoy. So it irritates me when people say people on the right or conservatives want to divide the country, or we have some sort of penchant for going after people of color or whatever it is. It's absolutely absurd. To me, everyone is a citizen of this country. If you're a citizen of this country, you're a fellow American of mine. And we should all enjoy the liberties and freedoms that we are given. And if you're having issues, if you're having problems, get the correct help for it. If you feel like if your rights are being infringed, or there's something going on criminally that's keeping you from being able to enjoy your freedoms and liberties, by all means, find help for that. Get help for that. Find a way. Find a solution to that. Instead of pointing fingers and pointing blame at this group or that group, try to find a solution to it. So Rush Limbaugh has passed away of cancer, stage 4 cancer, at the age of 70. And I just wanted to stop in and give you guys a little bit of commentary, my relationship to Limbaugh as a mentor, as someone who inspired me to do the work that you hear me kind of doing now. Of course, other things inspired me to do this, but he was one of the major ones that inspired me to get into politics and be involved in politics. So as you can hear, my niece and nephew are still here above. Regardless of what I say, they will continue to be children, because that's what they do, and they make noise. So that has been another hamper to the recording process. But we're going to get through it. We will get through it. It's 2021. We've had a lot of this going on in this year. It's been, I don't know if I want to say it's just a continuation of 2020, but nonetheless, guys, thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for the likes, the shares, and the comments. You are welcome to share this video with others who may be Rush fans or are unfamiliar with Rush, and of course enjoy the channel, because most of what you see on here was inspired by what Rush Limbaugh did. So I want to thank all of you guys, and appearing there on the screen, that would be the channel icon for the channel here. You can click on that. There will be a series of options for you to select if you want to be notified when there's content here on the channel. And of course, earlier today I will be releasing the regular play. But I'll see you guys in the next video.